I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Joining me now is 2024 presidential contender Larry Elder. Larry, thanks for coming on.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course, last time we talked, which was a month ago back in August, you were filing an FEC complaint against the RNC after they kept you off the debate stage for not meeting their qualifications. Can you first give us an update? What's going on there?
Well, not only did they keep me off the debate stage, Brittany, they put a sign at the door and told security that if Elder shows up or if his campaign team shows up, don't let him in. I met the RNC debate criteria. They required me to have 40,000 individual donors. I did. To submit 3 polls where I was at 1% or better, and I did. As soon as I did that, I get a phone call after the deadline from Ronna McDaniel, and she says, you can't use one of the polls because it's the Rasmussen poll, and it, quote, is affiliated with Donald Trump, close quote. And I said, assuming that's true, why is it my problem? And she said, well, the rules stipulate that any campaign that's affiliated with a poll, that poll can't be used by anybody else in the campaign. Well, Rasmussen put out a statement and said Donald Trump is not affiliated with our poll. So, Brittany, even if before I submitted the poll, I had picked up the phone and called Rasmussen and said, by the way, just want to make sure you're not affiliated with Trump, they would have said, no, we're not. Please go ahead and submit our poll. And I still would have been ruled ineligible. Furthermore, Rasmussen said that before they even conducted their poll, they contacted the RNC to make sure they were following their sample size criteria. And the RNC never said, oh, by the way, you guys are not eligible. So it seems to me I got shafted, let's put it that way. So my lawyer is the former chairman of the Federal Election Commission, and he says that because Elder did not have the debate criteria fairly applied to him, what the RNC did, in essence, is to give an in-kind contribution to the 8 people who were on that debate stage that would possibly the RNC to a fine of up to $100 million. Now, the goal, of course, was to make the next debate, which is tomorrow here in California at the Ronald Reagan Library. And by 6 o'clock yesterday, I had to have 3 polls where I was at 3% or better. I did not, so therefore I won't be attending that debate. But had I made the first debate, been able to talk about my father, who never knew his biological father, cleaned toilets when I was growing up, talked about the epidemic of fatherlessness, the lie that America remains systemically racist, a need for an amendment to the Constitution to fix spending to a certain percentage of the GDP, and a much more full-throated denunciation of the lie Democrats push that America remains systemically racist. In my humble opinion, Brittany, if people see me do my thing, I would not have had any difficulty making the criteria for the debate tomorrow. But that didn't happen.
You said last time we talked that you believe the RNC is rigged. You said the fix is in. How has the RNC responded, if at all?
Well, they put out a letter after I said that to the other RNC members and said Elder didn't even qualify in 3 polls at 1% or more. After telling me that I did qualify with 2 of them, the third one was not usable. So I put out a letter to the RNC members linking all the polls where I qualified, showing that the RNC did not tell the truth when they said that I did not meet the criteria for the 3 and 1%. I have no idea why they're doing this. In my opinion, I believe I make them feel uncomfortable. I think I give them heartburn. For example, I think that regarding the budget that we're looking at right now, possible shutdown of government, the Republicans are approaching a problem with a pocket knife that requires a machete. By that I mean this: we need deep cuts, and we need major structural reform in the so-called entitlements. Even Bill Clinton one time set up a commission to look at Social Security, and both he and Barack Obama referred to the entitlements as unsustainable. Yet we're not doing anything about that. And I talked about earlier with you a moment ago about the amendment to fix spending to a certain percentage of the GDP. And regarding race, here's what the Democrats do. The country is 50-50. What they do, however, is try to convince 13% of the electorate, meaning black voters, that America remains systemically racist, and we, by the way, are the good guys in the fight for social justice, and these Republicans are the bad guys. It is a lie that's dividing the country. It's also getting people killed. It's called the Ferguson effect or the George Floyd effect, and that's a phenomenon, Brittany, of cops pulling back all over the country for fear of being accused of engaging in systemic racism. As a result, there are thousands of people who are dead who otherwise would not have been dead if the police had been doing their normal practice of policing. Now, Republicans tiptoe around things like this. When Biden goes, for example, to Howard University, and I'll shut up after this, goes to Howard University and says the number 1 threat to the homeland is white supremacy, we did not denounce that. It's a lie. Most homicide is same-race homicide. Most whites who are killed by other whites. Most blacks who are killed by other blacks. However, every year there are roughly 750, a small percentage, of all the homicides that are between blacks and whites. 500 white people are killed by blacks, 250 black people are killed by whites, even though whites are 60% of the population. Now, Donald Trump, at a commencement exercise, said the number one threat to the homeland was black supremacy. You and I would denounce Donald Trump as a race-hustling demagogue, and should. But Biden says it, and the RNC doesn't say a damn thing. These are the kinds of things that Elder says, I believe, gives the GOP leadership heartburn.